Opheana.
Hi, I'm Sikaal.
Today we want to talk to you about creating freedom in your life, what that means to you. What is freedom? Is it what, everybody wants, or what does it truly mean for you? Yeah. And how to go about doing that?
And one of the things you'll find within that is that it is very unique and individual for each and every person. We hope you enjoy this video. We're all here as spiritual beings to have a journey that involves freedom in every sort of way. Freedom in your work, freedom in your passion, freedom in your family life, freedom with everything you want to be on earth, financial freedom, health freedom, every sort of freedom you can imagine. And so one of the things we want to have a chat about today is for you to have a think about, to contemplate where in your life are you free and where are you not free? And is there a way where you can free yourself up more to bring through more of who you are and want to be here on your earthly journey? And one of the main areas that a lot of us get stuck is time and finances. Always feeling we don't have enough time, always feeling there's not enough money, or we need to exchange our time for money. And to a certain degree, that's true. We need to all make ends meet in this life. However, we're not just here on earth to do that. We're here actually for a role, whether that is to raise a family, whether that is to share your art with the world, whether that is to help heal the world, whether that is to bring new technologies through. We all have different roles and purposes.
One of the main areas is the programming of being in society where we need to tick the boxes. So, we get the good grades at school, we then go out and do further study, we tick the boxes and further education, then we tick the boxes with the career, with the relationship, with the having the family, with buying your own home, and then further on from there, further expanding the achievements, further expanding the to-dos to be a good human in society. And a lot of people don't really stop and think, well, is this actually really what I want? Or is this something that someone else has said that's good for me? Because as a lot of us who are waking up have found out, the education system is geared more towards creating, a robotic type human that does as they're told. And we don't want that anymore. And a lot of people are getting communications from their body, if they're not listening to their emotions and the signs and the intuition, then it starts to become disease in the body and that type of thing. So we're often working with people who have not listened for so long that they, it has become a disease. And then in other areas, there are people who are very spiritual and very connected and very conscious, but they just don't know how to free themselves because the structures in society are that you need to make a certain amount of money to be able to exist. But if you are spending most of your time making that money but not actually sitting and coming into your center and finding out, well, what is it? How do I want to spend my time? How do I want to do this thing called life, my mission, my purpose? How do I move forward into that if I'm constantly spending my time and energy doing this and I don't have any life force left to actually let that source energy run through and my own divine presence tell me what the next step is? So what we often do with ourselves and all of our clients is and our children for that matter as well, is really just keep coming back to self and wiping the slate clean, wiping the programs clean, going right back through to childhood and finding out, well, how are we parented, how are we taught in school, how are we taught in society? What do we need to release so that we can come back to our center and from there make our decisions, from there allow the bubble of excitement to come up to find out, well, what do I truly want? Rather than what does society tell me to want? Well, society tells us to want a big beautiful house and a shiny car.
And also a lot of what we do in life and how we are in life and what we feel is how we want to build our life is determined by the subconscious beliefs that we have, which are accumulated often when you're a child up to about 7 years old. Beyond that as well, by role models, parents, teachers, and what happens, and that includes society. And we have all these programs, we hardly know they're running, and everyone else has them running as well, so it seems really normal. But we're now at a time where everything is quickening and things are opening up for people. People are talking about ascension and changes on Gaia and Mother Earth. And for those of us sensitive to those energies, our missions are kicking in a bit more, and you may be feeling that as well. So the first thing is to review what are the things that actually keep me locked into a place where I don't feel free in my life. And then you talk about that flow of God presence energy moving through.
And did you want to explain God presence energy?
The belief that we have, and always run that through your own system to see how you feel about that, is but that we are a spiritual being in a physical vessel here on earth, on an earthly journey, on an earthly mission, if you will. And so if you get stuck in the lower mind and in the belief structures and thought patterns of all of those around you, you can't really live what your heart wants you to live, and you know something isn't lining up. You feel locked up in finances, locked up in time, locked up in family structures, locked up in jobs and doing things you really don't want to do anymore, and your life is asking you for changes, even to the point where your physical body is degenerating or dealing with disease because you're not happy in making the choices that really suit you. So once you start opening all of that up and start, for instance, meditating or doing a lot of other things, your higher self energy, your God presence energy, and the energy supportive from Earth or Mother Earth starts to flow through you. And that's when you really start using your intuition and your guidance to get an idea of, what am I here to do? What is my role? What do I want? How do I want my life to be?
Yeah, so the way that we like to play with that and sort of investigate into where is it in ourselves and in others, if we're working with others as well, where is that joy, where is that excitement, where do you feel that lightness of energy, that when you line up with your truth, when you line up with your knowing, where is that, and how can we get there and hold that space rather than being pulled out of it and it being separate? Because a lot of people, most people actually live several sort of split lives, where work is one life, home is another life, and then they have their spirit, a little bit of a spiritual life on the side. And we feel true freedom is actually a merging of all of it, where it's all your life, it's not separate. It's all one, and we've worked really intensively in merging our life to the point where it feels like freedom. We flow through it. It's not separate to our kids. It's not separate to the work. It's your joy. Well, we believe to literally just get to a point where you are doing only what you're inspired to do, and that's the true place of freedom, where you get to have that time to sit and be with yourself enough that you can really hear and communicate with your presence, with your higher self, and get the messages through so that you can actually step forward and make those steps. So if your life is so filled up with the doing of a job or work that's not satisfying you, for instance, then maybe it's time to look at how can you change your life so you don't need to have that specific job. How can you change your life? Do you need to simplify? Do you need to make changes in the way that you live? We talk about this thing, preference and need. It may be your preference to live in this 5-bedroom home, but do you really need to do it? Have you got this 5-bedroom home that you are spending 70 hours a week in your job to pay for this home that you don't get time to be in? Or are you free to actually really experience it and love it? Or do you move into a smaller home and not have so much of an outlay so that you have the freedom then to actually explore who am I and what am I doing? Or do you want to spend 20 years paying for a home and then get to that point of, retirement and sit down and go, well, what was that worth again? I don't feel so free. I'm sitting here, I'm retired, and I've finally paid off my home. I've slaved for all of these years and here I am, and I don't feel free. Apparently this is where I'm meant to be. So that's that whole thing of living in the future. What about right now? How can you get freedom now? And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's really about, okay, freeing things up. And this has a lot to do with attachment of the materialistic things in life, the ego that is attached to certain ways of living, to the perfect bathroom, the perfect kitchen, the furnishings have to look a certain way. Everything has to reflect, how you want it to be. Well, why does it have to be that way? Why not think about your actual needs and sort of say, well, it is my preference to have that luxurious whatever, but do I really need it? And maybe I can have it later, but for now, what do I need now?
And I think in addition to that there's certain models of how a life should go, and one of them is very connected into this material world here. And it is totally okay if that is something that sits within what you want to be doing here. So it's not that isn't right. However, we find a lot of people get stuck in it, and they get locked up in a way that they can't truly find why they're here or what their freedom is. So a couple of action steps in how to get from where you are now maybe to a little more freedom or a lot more freedom and living more of a heart-based, intuitive lifestyle is first to look at, okay, where am I? Really being honest with yourself. Where am I free and where am I not free? And that includes time, and that includes work, and that includes family, and that includes your body. That includes where are you happy and where are you not happy? And then next steps are to start to look at, okay, well, what are the reasons why I am stuck where I'm stuck, and where I have been able to free myself where I have. And a lot of that work is inner work in getting to know yourself. And steps beyond that are, why am I here? What does my heart want me to do? What makes me happy? And how can I perhaps simplify my life to start living that role model, or that model is a better way of saying it, because the model will be unique to you. You will not fit the perfect model that society believes that you will fit in. You are not like everybody else. You're unique. However, some elements of that model may fit you, and others are those that you have to explore yet. So those steps would be very beneficial, I think, for people to start looking at.
Absolutely.
Are you free? And then gently start to move to ways of freeing yourself up. And one of them is the idea of simplifying. Because with simplification, you often have more of what you love instead of a lot of what you don't love.
Or a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Keeping up with the Joneses, everything. That balanced life. What is a balanced life, and what does that mean for you? Do you really want all of these things? Like really want them, need them? It's quite surprising, one time when we moved, we'd cleared away a lot of things, and they were already in boxes, and that minimalism really came into the house. And this feels good, less stuff, even though the stuff was lovely and at one time in the past it meant something, it was not necessary anymore. So, that feeling of cleansing the space and just having really what you need for it to feel like home for you, that type of thing. And it creates space. And then you do it in yourself as well, in your body, in your mind. Do I really need to be thinking about this? And these steps that Sikaal is talking about, one of the key elements to actually be able to take these steps or even contemplate these steps is actually looking at your beliefs around it, because it's the one area where it's a wall, it's a veil in front of people. They just can't move forward until the beliefs are looked at. So, for instance, just asking yourselves a question, what will happen if what will happen if I let go of this job and I work towards, you know, maybe part-time or casual work so that I have some space and time, and then you're, well, I won't be able to afford this, you know, there's a belief right there, I won't be able to pay the bills, this, that and the other. So look at all of the areas, go to a worst case scenario to see what triggers up. And then look at them in the face and say, well, is it that bad? The awareness around that, you know, should be enough to be able to cleanse those beliefs out. And if that doesn't, then look more into how you can cleanse your beliefs, because they're the things that stop people moving forward. So, you know, look at your ideal day. How do you want to spend your day? How do you want to feel inside yourself? And then really explore via writing or meditating or just asking for your guides to speak with you and your higher self. What is it that I actually want? And then start looking at those steps, and on that process, clearing the beliefs as you go.
We find that the path to more freedom and happiness, and you know, you've heard the saying, happy, healthy, and abundant. To get there for most people is always very much the same. You want to start first with, where are your wounds from the life that you've lived so far? You want to clean those up and look at, why have I created them? Then you want to look at, what way am I thinking? What are my beliefs? What are my thought patterns that keep me where I am? Then you break those open and neutralize those. The next step is letting guidance from your heart, your intuition, your higher self, your spirit, whatever you want to call it, listening to it, and guidance from earth about your journey and what makes you happy. Because when you're happy, you're living the life that you're meant to live. It doesn't mean that every time and every day is always happy, but it means you're striving towards being happy in your heart. And so the steps are getting rid of the wounds you have, breaking open limiting thinking, and then exploring, what am I really wanting? What am I really wanting to explore? And what's coming in as my next steps for my mission? I think that mostly covers it.
Yeah, nice.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much, guys. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Like and share and subscribe, comment below, and give us any ideas and comments you have for yourself and any feedback. Thank you very much. Many blessings.